What is up, guys? This is SonicSol here with another video. This time I wanted to cover A.K.I. She's a new DLC character that came out as part of the Season 1 pass of characters for Street Fighter 6. I have been playing her quite a bit on my stream, aside from playing Cammy, of course, which I still do, and I still will main. In general, I wanted to cover A.K.I. I've been having a lot of fun with her. I got her recently to master within a couple of days, and I kind of wanted to teach you guys how to play her so that way you can have fun with the character too. If you like this video, let me know down below in the comments what you think about the character and how excited you are, and please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you know the next time I upload more videos like this. I know I'm blocking it on the character select screen, but essentially this character is hard, probably one of the hardest characters in the game. She's a tricky style of character, meaning she's got a lot of stuff that she can work with, and she's considered a long-range character. Most of the time when people think of long range in this game, they think of like a zoner, but you're gonna find out real quick that with A.K.I, she could zone, but she's also really good up close. Henceforth why she's a very tricky character to really understand. So let's just get right into it. Like I said, she's supposed to be long range. She has some decent pokes that she could do within the mid-range, right? You know, she's got some pokes that she could use, but the problem with this is, like, yes, these buttons are good within like the mid-range as long range pokes, but they're very risky in that they're not really special cancelable. And when we talk about long range, like her buttons and her special moves, they're really good, like her fireball, this as well, right? Like the puddle, the poison as well, adding damage over time. You think about stuff like that, but then, you know, you have a character like JP who, you know, he just zones you. You know, he literally just zones you from like full screen. So the type of zoning that she does, it's not really like she's zoning you forever. You know, a lot of the time she wants to get to the point where she touches you, and then now it's a whole mix. You know, you got to worry about stuff. When she lands the poison, then she becomes really versatile. You know, she does a lot of damage if she gets the poison up, gets a set play off. You know, that's where you really want to start doing things with A.K.I, is when you're right next to the opponent. And to get there, you're going to have to actually play that mid-range. So let's talk about it. Some of her main pokes in the neutral, she's got standing heavy punch, she's got forward heavy punch, she's got crouching medium kick, stand medium kick, right? None of these buttons are special cancelable. They are, only two of them are super cancelable. This button right here, forward hard punch, is super cancelable. Crouching medium kick is also super cancelable, right? The other buttons that she has, her stand medium kick is a really good disjointed normal, meaning that there is no hurt box at the tip. It's only hitbox. Generally, you're going to want to poke with this within the mid-range. Same thing with stand heavy punch, right? You want to poke with this within the mid-range, and it has a target combo follow-up when you hit heavy punch again, right? Causes poison. That means if you hit this button again in the neutral, then you get a combo, right? Which is really, really good. That's generally speaking the four main pokes you use in the neutral. She has other buttons that she can use theoretically. So for example, like if JP were to drive rush at me, I can have her check with crouching medium punch, and then she gets a combo, right? So if somebody drive rushes at you, you can use crouching medium punch if you're expecting it, right? If you're expecting like them to drive rush at you, instead of using your other pokes, you should use crouch and medium punch, right? And especially it's the same thing if they like DI, right? Like if they attempt to try to drive impact you, because a lot of your buttons will lose to drive impact. That loses, right? That loses. Even if you mash it, it loses, right? And your crouching medium kick will lose. With crouch and medium punch, you can cancel in the drive impact. So I would recommend using that normal within the mid-range. Even though it's 8-frame startup, it does move forward slightly. You see how she inches forward a bit by bit as I keep mashing the button. So generally speaking, you want to use that normal specifically for situations where they do drive rush or drive impact, right? Her anti-air normals, standing heavy kick and crouching heavy kick, are her two main anti-airs. So if I were to set JP to jump at me, then I could do stand heavy kick, and I do crouching heavy kick. So the thing about these two anti-airs is that standing heavy kick doesn't knock down like crouching heavy kick does. And crouching heavy kick has more of a low profile. So, because she's crouching, right? So it's going to hit really, really late. which means that you can kind of use it more or less to anti-air the opponent and eventually and also avoid the jump in. So standing heavy kick is not gonna knock down the way crouching heavy kick does, but you can cancel it into your fireball or into whatever special you want to do, right? And as a result, you know, they're gonna have to really respect this anti-air, because now you're gonna be plus, then you can get a combo, you know. Basically, that's why that anti-air doesn't knock down, because it's special cancelable. You can do that as your main anti-air, or you can do crouching heavy kick as your main anti-air. The reason why it's crouching heavy kick is because crouching heavy punch is your actual sweep. So it's kind of in reverse. She also has good air to airs. So like if I were to have JP jump at me, you can do jump back medium punch, which has a limited juggle state, meaning you could combo after it if you happen to land it as an actual air to air, right? Like that. But generally speaking, you're going to use this as a way to like knock the opponent down back to full screen. So that way you can set up, you know, so you can do stuff like this, right? But if you wanted to really combo after this, right, then you could do something like this. So you could do something like that, and then you set up the poison again in a neutral. See what I'm saying? So like, that's a good air-to-air situation that you can do. You can also do jumping light kick. Jumping light kick is 5 frames and it's a really good horizontally ranged air-to-air. But outside of that, she doesn't really have any other air-to-airs that she's gonna do. You could do jump jab, but it's kind of stubby. And jump medium kick is not really an air-to-air. It's more used for like instant overheads to close out a round. See that? See how it hits like really low at the tip? So that's really like your air-to-air. Everything else is like your jump in normal. So like jumping heavy punch, which you're mostly going to be jumping in with, and jumping heavy kick, which I wouldn't jump in as much. As you can see, there's a difference in frame advantage. That's plus 14 at best. This could be like plus 9 to like plus 12. So you're gonna definitely use this as your jump in normal, jumping heavy punch. Her other buttons that we want to talk about here, she has crouching light punch, which is her only like 4 frame normal. It's her fastest normal. However, unfortunately, it has really bad range. So like if you were to do like your light hit confirm into your combo ender like this, right? Say you do 2 jabs, you could do that too. You can't do 3 jabs, right? Because then it'll whiff. And even more so, like if you're further away, that can happen. You see? Because her crouching light kick has really good range, but her crouching jab doesn't. So in some cases, you'll miss your jab. You see that? And because she can't go into standing light punch on regular hit after crouching light kick, right? It makes it very difficult to actually confirm off of your lights unless you use your jab. So you might as well, like I said, just do this every time. Like crouching light kick, crouching light punch into the heavy punch ender, cortical forward. Outside of that though, this is your main like crouching light punch, your main jab you're going to be using also on defense as well. So it's pretty much what you're going to confirm off of your crouching light kick off of, and it's also going to be what you use on defense if you wanted to mash, right? Standing light kick, your decent 5 frame poke, it is special cancelable, so you can go in a drive rush from it. However, in general, right, you're going to be using this sparingly within light confirms, more or less off of like counter hits, or if you like poke at the opponent within the mid-range a little bit around here, around 1 quart stream. Standing medium punch, it does move forward. It's your fastest medium punch normal, right? It's going to be used primarily after your frame traps, after your mix-ups with your overheads or your lows. You're primarily going to use that there, right? I didn't talk about standing light punch really, because standing light punch, it does have a target combo that you can do that is special cancelable, and you can cancel into, you know, your other specials as well. So you could go in a drive rush, or you can go into your special moves. But in general, I didn't talk about it because a lot of the times your standing jab is not really going to be able to be comboed from on normal hit. So in general, it's kind of just a waste compared to the other tools that you have. But it doesn't mean that you can't use it at all, right? Like you can use it for your special cancels. If you landed a drive rush overhead, right, you can go into stand medium punch and then end it. Or you could do, instead of the overhead, you could do the low, right? And both options go into stand medium punch. Your frame traps as well are also going to go into stand medium punch, because if you do crouching jab and they get counter hit, So for example, if I have JP block the first hit of this, you see how like if I do crouching light kick into the crouching jab, the frame trap, the crouching jab and the standing jab are both +6 on counter hit. So that means you can go into stand medium punch and then you get your combo ender, which is why this button is very versatile because it is your fastest medium. Your crouching medium punch, however, unfortunately is slower by 2 frames. So that's kind of important. You know, you can use this, like I said, to check drive rushes and drive impact, but for the most part, you're going to be using this as like combo filler, combo extension, or a check for some of the more degenerate tools in the game. Another good button that you can use is your forward hard kick for pressure. So like if you are next to the opponent and you do this maybe on their knockdown or when they're blocking, this is your only +1 block normal. You see how JP presses a button? If I press jab, it's a frame trap. See that? This is because this normal is +2 on block. So you should be using this kind of as a meaty, or whenever you want to pressure your opponent, you generally want to use this on their knockdown. Or whenever they're waking up and they want to block something, especially if you drive rush into it, because then it is +6. So then you can immediately frame trap into your jab or your medium punch or your crouching medium punch, right? So you have that. Like I said, you also have crouching medium kick as a poke, but you can also use it in your drive rush to actually start offense, because like I said, you can go into stand medium punch from this, right? So like for example, if JP were to get hit by this, then you get a combo. And then if they block, right? If they block this, you're +1. So you can frame trap into your crouching light punch, which is very important because then you get stand medium punch from this, right? See? So very good on offense as well. You have your overhead option too, which I said before. This is also +2. So you get your jab into stand medium punch. See that? And because it's +2, you know, they have to respect that they can't mash on it, and it's an overhead that they have to worry about. So generally speaking, a lot of the overhead and low options, so like this you're going to do on their knockdown, this you're going to do on their knockdown, and this you're going to do on their knockdown for the most part after your main light confirmed. Or just a stray knockdown from an air-to-air or anti-air or poke. Let's talk about her special moves now, and also some of their applications. We have her fireball. She has a very slow fireball, 52 frames, which means it's a very slow fireball in comparison to a lot of other fireballs in the cast. Ryu probably has a faster fireball, total duration of 47 frames. Gal is even better with that. What that means is she's not going to want to really throw this fireball around this mid-range because she might get jumped in on, right? You could throw it in the mid-range, but like I said, you want to be very careful about that, because then if they get the read on the fireball, you're getting punished. Like, it's probably worse than even Ken's fireball. So generally speaking, you're throwing this fireball more or less to apply poison and also as a way to control the mid-range. Like I said, it's one of your main zoning tools, and if they get hit by the poison, what's going to happen is that your next hit will obviously activate, and then you get your combo. Same thing, like if you were to land like this is a poke, that will actually knock them down. It forces them more towards the corner, and more importantly, you know, you get advantage. Same thing, like if you were to land like your light confirmed, so like if you were to land any confirmed, then you get an actual combo from your poisoned attacks. So you're gonna use this more or less to control the mid-range along with your other pokes, right? That's the whole point of this fireball. But like I said, since it's 52 frames, people could jump in on this, so you have to be careful. She does have a follow-up from this that she can do that knocks them down. It also activates the poison as well. So you can use this forward punch option to more or less like trade or even win with fireballs. But it's very risky because on block, it is exceedingly negative. But in general, like, as you can see, I would never want to do this on block. Right? Up close, it can frame trap. But that's very risky. Like, in general, I would never do that, like, at all, for any of the fireballs. So, I would just throw it out normally. Throw it out normally, see if they jump. Don't throw it out all the time within this range. Within the range where you think they might jump in, just throw out like maybe one of them and then see what they do. That's what I would recommend. The EX version of this, however, is really good in comparison. It has 44 frames total duration, which means that if they jump in on this, you can very well see it. And it has 2 hits of like 2 hits, as you can see, and it lingers for a long time. Like if I'm like 3/4 screen and I drive rush behind this fireball, then I'm still plus. So you can win neutral interactions outright with this EX fireball in comparison to the light one. So at least you can use that to kind of threaten your opponent within the mid-range and sometimes even win zoning wars. It's a really good special move to use. That being said, you can also spend meter with the light version of the cortical back with the fireball. You can spend meter into the EX slide, and what this will do is if they were to jump in on you, then this will get you out of a situation where they might jump in, right? So like if they jump in, you can cancel the recovery of it into the slide, as you can see. Well, we'll talk about that special move in a minute though. The medium version of the cortical back lands a puddle. So anytime they step in this puddle, it will poison them. And it's really good for space control because if the opponent sees that puddle, they're going to have to make a decision of whether or not they want to step in it and then take a guaranteed bit of damage. If we were to look at the damage over time real quick, yeah, you're doing about 600 damage, 500 to 600 damage with the poison over time. So when this puddle hits, right, like you have to realize that the opponent is really going to have to worry about whether or not they want to approach A.K.I and be putting themselves in poison. I know it may not seem as like crazy on paper, but when you consider that you're poking at your opponent, when your opponent has to use their health as a resource for things like absorbing attacks with drive impact, or you know, other cases where they want to approach and spend a little bit of life to do so, the poison itself, the damage over time, will eventually add up with a lot of the other damaging tools that A.K.I will do. So in general, this puddle is a threat to your opponent. They're gonna have to worry about this within the mid-range when you're poking at them, right? And this might get them to want to jump over it, right? They might want to jump over it. They might want to, you know, try to hit you with something that goes over the puddle. It will force their hand, which is what I'm saying. Even though the puddle does not do damage immediately, it will do damage over time because it immediately puts poison on them, whether they block it or not. Now, the heavy cortical back punch is this little, or big rather, this big bubble, and it also applies poison. And the thing about it is that on hit, it knocks down, right? You can do it off of your lights, no problem. So like if you landed 3 jabs, you could do that, right? And it knocks them away. So it builds up space for you, but also like if you do this on block, the opponent doesn't really have a way to punish you, right? Because it's -4 on block. So what this means is, you see how JP's doing his crouch and light punch? It's not gonna reach me, even though this is -4. So this is generally how you're gonna like end your block strings for the most part. The other thing too about this is that when you hit an opponent that is airborne with this quarter circle back heavy punch, primarily in the corner, what's gonna happen is that they will get launched. Normally, this is how it's gonna look, right? Like if they get hit grounded, they'll just get knocked down. But if they are airborne, or if they block the drive impact, then you can combo after the bubble because they got launched, right? See that? You get your combo. Whereas if they were hit grounded, you don't get anything, right? You just get the knockdown. So that is the big difference between hitting this move airborne and hitting it grounded. Her critical forward series, so she has 3 different whips, right? She has the light version, which is like a decent poke that she could use within the mid-range. You want to space this out. You don't want to do it up close, right? Because it is it's -7. But like, you know, if you space yourself out, then it's going to be very hard for them to punish. And it'll actually be -6 if you space it out at the very tip. And that's the light version. The medium version, it actually is it's slower than the other 2 versions. Like the heavy version is 11 frames and the light version is 14. The medium one is 17 frames, but unfortunately, since it's too slow, and it whips on crouchers, and it might not actually anti-air consistently. You don't see many A.K.I players doing this very often, right? You see how it whips on crouchers here? You can't even do it really in a light confirm because it's too slow, right? However, if you do manage to hit the opponent with this move and they're poisoned, it actually knocks them back in a tumble state. You see, like, if you land the medium version of this, the reason why it's so slow is because it gives you a large combo off of it, because they tumble back, right, when they're poisoned. So that's kind of why it's like that, why it's so bad in multiple situations, yet it's good for like combos. You can use it as an anti-air, but it's not gonna always anti-air, right? Like, see, anti-air is there because you could delay it so that way it actually anti-airs. But if you try to react to a jump, you're gonna get stuffed out. So that's why you see a lot of A.K.I players do the heavy version, right? Because this character doesn't really have air invulnerability on any of her anti-airs, but she does have air invulnerability on cortical forward heavy punch, but it's not on the first frame, it's on frame 6. So you can do this pretty late, but if you do it too late, you're just gonna get jumped in on. So you have to be careful. Like, usually if you're reacting to jump-ins, this is primarily what you're gonna use. If you land an anti-air while they're poisoned, combo. See? So it's very, very important that you master anti-airing with cortical forward heavy punch as opposed to any of the other anti-airs. The EX version of the whip is used for combo extension, and you can only really combo into this normally off of crouching medium punch, right? But it does apply poison, meaning that you can get a combo from this. You can actually confirm from this into a poison activation. See? So it's good for that, but it's not plus on block, and you could potentially get punished for it if the opponent mashes after. And you also want to see whether or not they throw a fireball here. And you're +8 if you land this as a punish counter. So if you can punish a fireball with this, that's really good. See that? So that's primarily where you're going to use like EX cortical forward punch in the neutral. But outside of that, like I said, it's mostly going to be used as combo extension. Not really as, you know, anything else. Because the combo extension, she literally launches them again. The coward crouch, you can do this with down in 2 punches. And what she'll do is she'll crawl like a regenerator in Resident Evil, right? And she has multiple follow-ups from this. So she could either cancel the stance, she could cancel it, she could go into the punch follow-up, which is very negative on block. However, most people will do this as a combo ender, or they will do this as a way of going over fireballs. The stance already low profiles this. As you can see, it low profiles the projectile because it would have hit me otherwise. But if I do the stance, I go underneath it and I can punish him. So that's kind of where you would use it in Fireball War. You would just wait to see that they throw a fireball and then react with this move. But generally speaking, it is negative. It's very negative. You don't want them to block that. You have the kick follow-up, right? Which is plus, so you get a combo after. And it's also used in the middle of combos, like I've been showing so far. But it is minus on block. It is not punishable, but it is safe on block. So like, see, it's -3. So you can't really like get it to be meaty and then hit them and then it's plus. You can't really like get it to be plus. It's going to be negative. And then lastly, besides the cancel and the punch and the kick, she also has the command grab, which is with light punch and light kick. And if they're poisoned, it definitely does more damage, right? Because since they're gonna be sitting in the poison, right? So you can do almost 20%. So you're gonna be using that command grab primarily in mix-ups, not necessarily raw. She has 2 more specials. She has a slide and she has the quarter circle back flip. So quarter circle forward kick, the light version, she kind of slides in place. The medium version, she slides in front of the opponent. The heavy version, she slides past the opponent to the other side. And the EX version has projectile and strike invulnerability on the first frame, but it does not have throw invulnerability, meaning she can be thrown out of this. So it is only strike and projectile invulnerable. It is not throw invulnerable. You're gonna use this to get out the corner or after your fireball, right? The light version, however, is really good in certain situations. So like, for example, if you ended in the corner into the heavy whip without having poison, you can kind of use this to throw bait because they're not gonna be able to wake up and throw you off of this. So for example, see how you're out of throw range, but the medium version gives you a meaty, right? So like if they were to wake up with a button, you could do the medium slide and then throw their button. See that? I don't want to take the grab. I don't want to take it. I'm going to try to tech. And then what's going to happen is this. And then they die. The last special move that she has is her quarters go back pick series. This one, unfortunately, is minus, so I can't really press a button after this. All of them are not really plus on block, right? They're all negative. They are safe, so I can block after, but I'm not allowed to like take my turn. Only the EX version allows me to do that, right? And the thing about the EX version is it's very good because since it's plus on block and it leaps over, you can kind of go over fireballs with it. See, I can punish him and it goes into animation and you're plus 42. So you get an actual mix-up scenario from it with drive rush. But in general, you're going to be using this to kind of go over fireballs and as another way of kind of like getting in. The best thing about this is in burnout, it's really, really annoying, right? Because when the opponent is in burnout, it becomes plus, right? Because you add 4 extra frames of block stun, right? If I do this, I'm now +1. So I can do crouching jab after. And if you ever land this on block, then you can loop your pressure. So you can do crouch jab, stand, medium punch. Anybody with a 4-frame jab, they're gonna get frame trapped, right? And let's say you do crouching jab, you're gonna get frame trapped by the crouching jab and the stand medium punch. And then let's say they block both the crouching jab and the stand medium punch. Then the crouch jab frame traps them. So it becomes a burnout loop. So it's very important that you know this, because if you can get in with burnout, you get literal pressure that they have to hold. So it's very important that you know that, especially when this move kind of gets you in to start your offense, especially with the EX version. So yeah, her supers now. So she has the first super, which is just an invincible reversal, but it's also used as a combo ender. So like if you were to do a combo in the corner, for example, right? Like this would be your combo ender. See? And it puts poison on them as well. That would primarily be your combo ender and also your reversal, because she doesn't have a normal invincible reversal. She only has a reversal off of her super. Now the problem with this, right, is that if she were to wake up and do the super, because it's 10 frame startup, you can meaty with a light punch and then block after. So it's not as fast as other supers. It's actually quite slow. So you have to be careful about an opponent who is meeting you with a crouching light punch, because more than likely what's going to happen is they're going to block your reversal. Your level 2 super, right, you can do it with cortical back and punch, and it has 3 different lengths, right? That's the full screen version, right? Then the light version instead of the heavy version is directly in front of her. So you see how she has like these different versions to her super? She can use this more or less as a way of trying to stop fireballs. See? But that's with the heavy version, right? However, the problem with this, right, is that it's not invincible. So for example, if I have him throw EX Fireball, I'll beat the Fireball, right? If I react. But if I'm too late, you see how I trade with his Fireball? In some cases, I will legit lose to Fireballs. See that? So it is not invincible at all. You can only use it more or less if you think the opponent's going to throw a Fireball, or if you can react fast enough. If you are unable to react fast enough to nullify the Fireball and hit the opponent, what's going to happen is you're going to get hit out of your super. So it's honestly really bad to counter Fireballs with it, but at the same time, it's really all you have next to, of course, your EX Fireball. It's also a combo ender as well. It does more damage in the corner as opposed to level 1. And it sets up the poison that they have to worry about too. You know, so you can end combos with this. The poison is going to be directly on top of them as well for them to worry about, which is the extra 600 damage you're going to do to them. And also, like I said, because it puts the poison puddle there for a long time, it lasts about like almost 10 to 15 seconds. It's out there for a long time. So your opponent is going to have to play around that puddle. And on top of that, it can also be used as an anti-air, more or less, right? Like if you're able to see the opponent jump in and press a button to try to jump in at you, you can use this sort of like an anti-air, right? See? And it'll hit them before they land. See? So it's also good in that scenario, but in general, it's more of a utility super that doesn't really have any invuln frames. And then lastly, you have the level 3. It's your big super, you know. It, like the level 1, is 10 frame startup. It doesn't put them in poison state, but it's pretty much your reversal and your combo ender. The CA version of this, of course, is going to do more damage. What's cool about this super too is that it does have the ability to punish projectiles very well. So it does go pretty far for a super. So if you think the opponent's gonna throw a fireball, you can kind of react and then actually punish their fireball with it. Those are all of her tools. That's all of her main toolkit that you can use. I'll go over some combos. This is gonna be your main like B&B with lights. So crouching light kick, crouching light punch into cortical forward heavy punch. This gives you the most Oki, and it puts poison on them, and you're plus 44, which means if you drive rush after, you can do your low or your overhead, and you have to time this. Like you have to time the actual overhead or low option. But the point is that if they do match here, you get a combo. And if they're in the corner and you can recognize that, you get the combo into setup, right? So that's your low option. That's your overhead. See that? You must time it though. It's not auto time. If you do it early, what's gonna happen is you're gonna whiff. So you have to be careful. You have to actually time this. You have to time it. Otherwise, you're gonna get messed up. So you cannot mash it. You have to visually see when they get up. But it is much better than doing a lot of the other setups, because the thing about it is that that's +2 on block, right? That's +3 because you meatied it. So generally speaking, this is really good if they are poisoned and you manage to land this as an anti-air, or you land this in your light confirm, then you can do this combo right here. The thing about this combo is it has good corner carry, and it puts the poison on top of them, so that way you can actually have advantage after while they're poisoned. But if you want even more advantage but less corner carry, you can do something like this when they're poisoned. And then you get the drive rush mix up again. See? You put them in another situation where they have to guess. Another combo that you can do that is really good within the mid-range. Let's say you land something like low forward. Like if you do drive rush low forward, you do drive rush low forward in the stand medium punch, or you could do it in a crouching medium punch. I would say you could do it in a crouching medium punch because then you could do EX, cortical forward punch, and then you can carry them to the corner. See? You could do something like this. And then they're knocked down in the corner, and you have the spacing here where you're not directly next to them. If they jump, you can anti-air. If they're poisoned, right, this is even better. You do this if they're standing. So that's also really, really good. Let's say you bait a reversal on an opponent. And this will allow you to actually get a punish that'll carry to the corner. See that? And then you get the knockdown advantage and the drive rush. If they're in the corner and you see that they block drive impact or they got hit by it, then you generally want to do stand heavy kick into the cortical back heavy punch. Then you drive rush and do standing heavy kick. You do the stance into the punch follow-up. And because you activate the poison, they get knocked down. You see that? And you want this sliding knockdown because then you get a lot of things off of this, right? You get the meaty fireball with the poison puddle on top of it. So if JP players love to mash reversal on wake up, like the OD amnesia, they'll just get hit meaty by the fireball. Then they get hit again. They get put in the same scenario. If you're really optimal with the punish, then you get even more than that. You see, like if they wake up and do amnesia, they could die for it. Right? They could lose like almost 6K. Yeah, almost 60%. So, like if you have full resources. But if you don't have full resources, then you could just loop it again, honestly. See? If they get hit again, they die. So you can use the meaty fireball against characters like JP to condition them to not do amnesia. And then the best part is that they block it, then you're plus, right? You're plus 12 on this fireball. He gets hit out of the jab because you drive rush in. You can loop it again. See, you can just loop it again and again and again and again. And if they block, you know, you can throw them. So they are not going to be able to just simply mash out of this. But for example, instead of doing all of that, you just whiff crouching heavy punch and then safe jump, right? And what that will do is that if they wake up with a reversal, let's say JP decides to wake up with super, this is what will happen. You block it and then he dies, right? So that's a good safe jump to do there. You can also do a safe jump off of this too. But if they quick rise, then you're gonna have to do a different kind of safe jump where you do down heavy punch. And you block that, right? And if they end up getting hit by it, you get a punish and a combo. So this character has a lot of sauce, man. She's very, very powerful. So I think the only issue with this character is her neutral. Like I said, she's very susceptible to drive impact. And unfortunately, because of that, she's got to be very careful of what she's doing in the neutral. and being aware of how the opponent is going to approach you. She's also not a very beginner-friendly character because you can't just like do whatever you want. You're not allowed to do whatever you want against the opponent. If they are mashing or drive rushing or jumping, you have to be very aware of what they're doing and punish it so you can get the actual like poisoned ailment on. Like you can't just go YOLO. You're not gonna be able to. She does have good options with drive rush and with this, but you're gonna have to play some solid mid-range with the character. And even then you're gonna have to worry about drive impact and drive rush. So she's very much going to control people within the mid-range, and when she gets the knockdown, that's when people are going to be scared of her, because her Okizeme is really good. That's everything that I know about Aki so far. That's what I used to get to master with her. And yeah, if you guys found this helpful, let me know down below in the comments. I know this is a long video, but I just wanted to get as much of my knowledge as possible to help you guys out with playing this character. Like the video and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Y'all be easy. SonicSol out. Peace.